Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today we're going to talk about the 15 most likely ways, except for the last one because that one is fucked up, about things that you could do that are illegal or you get involved in knowingly or directly, whatever it is, as a prepper or survivalist or as a regular person during disaster, shitty the fan, bug in, bug out scenarios, because we all think that we will just stay in our cozy house, in our little homestead, or just going on a bug out to another place and build a new life. That's rarely, in a shitty defense scenario, that will be rarely the case. And especially if these kind of disaster shitty defense scenarios would happen in somewhere like Europe, because if such shit hit the fan would shit would hit the fan in Europe, there is no, not to sound bragging, but there is no better place to go. Perhaps North America or Australia, but I don't really see that happening when shit hit the fan. So crime will be rampage, and even in normal times, even in just regular economic crisis scenarios, crime goes up, and some people will do desperate things to earn some more money, or they will depend upon it to keep their regular life, so to say. So I'm going to talk about 15 ways you could get into criminality willingly, indirectly, or actually full on. So we're going from minor to the last one, which is really fucked up, but a real thing if you look into it, which is also the reason why I made this video. So number one, just black work, or alias called a side hustle. We all probably do this stuff. You know, you earn a few things on the internet, or you sell a few things on a flea market, or through second-hand stores, that kind of stuff. So yeah, could happen. It's a really minor thing, but it is the way that it usually starts. So yeah, that is the most likely way that even in normal times everybody probably does. Another thing I would say is, and it is more likely because just in regular times I come in contact with persons who are getting involved in this, uh, on a small scale, and sometimes even a little bit higher, and that is drug trade. And if you think about drug trade, you would think automatically about uh, uh, smuggling away 15 kilograms of heroin or something with with cartel members. No, drug trade in EDC or on small scale is usually just a friend who says, you want to store this for me, or you want to bring this to another mate of mine, I will give you some money. And that's how it usually starts, to test you. And if you're succeeding a few times, you will get you can smuggle bigger scores, and then you get more money. And that is the way that usually, especially young people, yeah, we all know, this is the most persons I talk about. These are young people who just got their car, but yeah, they realize it's more expensive than they realize. So a friend of them will ask them to move something to another friend. Don't look into the package, and usually it can be something like weed, laughing, one of those canisters with laughing gas, that kind of stuff, ampoules. So yeah, it can start very small, innocent, but it is usually a jumping board to test you, to see how you go bigger and bigger to the real heroin deals. So yeah, it is, in my opinion, the second most likely thing that especially young people will do, because young people also take more risk, and yeah, it can go bad from them. Number three, I would say, is a fake product, ersatz, or selling things over their best buy date. So yeah, these are things when times go bad, you still have this stuff. You see, it's a little bit over the best buy date, and yeah, mm, let's sell it anyway. I know. Oh, I will give you this back. It's almost going bad, but yeah, it still got a year. You know, that kind of stuff. Or you sell something that is, you say it's a Gucci bag or some other clothing that is very expensive, and you say, it's one of those, it's that much worth. And yeah, that's how the bartering starts with fake products, especially when there are shortages or some things like, how do you call these guys, scalpers, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's another way that many people would probably get a little bit involved in earning some extra dark money. Another thing I would say is when times get a little bit more bad, I would say number four, smuggling, black market, moonshining. You know, all the things that you can do from home by making stuff, selling stuff on the site without putting in on your tax, or with food and healthy safety standards in mind, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can save some money and you can do a favor for a friend, and that's how we usually will start. Number five, I would say, is a weapon trade. Uh, and yet again, it's just like with the drug thing. It's not really starting. You don't really start to sell machine guns and RPGs from a terrorist. Usually, black weapon markets will start low. It's like in Lord of War. You start very low on the street or with people you know, and we're talking about weapons. And it is in times where there's higher criminality, social social problems starting, and that kind of stuff. So many people want to protect themselves, and in Belgium they're very strict about self-defense weapons. So you almost only get a whistle and some paint that you can spray, and even then, that last one, they can still who make a problem for a fuss about it. So many people will start with some things like pepper spray, a taser, a button that you can fold open, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that is the kind of weapon trade that usually will start before we are talking about selling M16s and 45s. Number six, I would say, is fraud and scam, and this is also something that usually will happen when there is, how the more bad the time is, the more people will try to save with their businesses, side hustles, that kind of stuff, and they will start to do some frauding. Oh, I will not put this on my tax revenue. I will not count this. I will sell this under another name on my tax form, that kind of stuff. And then you get scams. And I'll talk about, hmm, weird. I'm talking about scams like the Nigerian prince kind of scams, because especially young people will see, oh, people will fall for this, and they will do it. For example, with me, it happened that they used my real name on a ticket for public transport, and I got a fine of 149 euros. I think one of my guinea pigs is starting to giving birth by the sound of it. I will look at that later on. I will let her do it slowly. Where was I? Ah, yeah, scams and that kind of stuff. And it's easy, especially through internet. In the internet, you can send thousands of mails, and only a few people have to fall for it, and you will have some money without any output. And usually, when people use something like VPNs and that kind of stuff, they cannot even trace you, or if you're smart about it. So yeah, that's high probably another thing that they will do. Seven, I would say poaching. Um, what Poaching is not only about shooting deer illegally. It's also more likely shooting small game like rabbits, birds, that kind of stuff. If it's outside of your gardening, out of your garden, and they don't, and yeah, then they can, okay, poach you for they can get it as poaching. If it's in your garden and people will squeal on you, then you can get in trouble too here in Belgium. And it's not only about animals, it's also about plants. For example, in the Belgian law, it's considered poaching if you are gathering too many nuts, like hazelnuts, chestnuts, birch nuts, that kind of stuff, or wild plants, mushrooms. If you do, you can pluck one or two, and they will not say anything, unless it's like the forest guard that is just catching you, or some Karen that is calling the police. But the moment you will start gathering with bags for food, for as foraging, then it's considered poaching if it's plants material that you are foraging. So yeah, you can get fined and punished for that too. And also another thing that can be considered poaching is gathering firewood. If you go into the forest and you gather dead wood, it could be considered poaching as well. So yet again, just for trying to survive, you could get a penalty if the times are getting bad. So never mind when it's in regular times. Next one I would say is the building of weapons, explosive, and guns. Yeah, sounds a little bit weird, but it is something that happens often. And this happens often on a small scale. Why? Because a lot of people, because in Belgian law you cannot have real firearms, but the closest thing to it could be considered like blank guns. And there is, especially in Brussels, a problem, and in Antwerp too, I think, a problem with people will buy blank guns and they convert them to real guns. These guns are these crude guns are very dangerous because the materials are not considered, cannot withstand the pressure force of a real bullet if you put it inside of it. But if you can shoot a few bullets with it, you can sell it. So that's what I mean about, yeah, making weapons. And it is yet the same thing from people who want to help to defend themselves when times are getting bad, in times when there is shit in the fan, social problems, higher criminality. People will try to improvise weapons and they will build their own weapons, perhaps even explosives, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's improvised guns could be a way that people can make money, or you can transport it for someone else. So yeah, it could be dangerous. uh, Another thing I would say is loan sharks. I'm not talking only about the people who are borrowing money and will break your knees later on by an enforcer if you don't pay up, but it's also working for a loan shark, like transporting money, visiting people to remind them to pay up, or in worst case, like I said, breaking the knees or chucking off a finger to make an example. Yeah, these are is the reality. And yeah, there were people around that have shot people in the knee just for that reason. So imagine how it is when people are more desperate, in shit in the fan, uh, very bad, how do you say this, financial crisis, and they try to keep their house, keep their family fed, and they loan money from loan sharks because they cannot, by the rules, they cannot afford loans from the banks because they don't adhere to their conditions. So yeah, these are realities we need to take into account. That people, and also people can start to work for them. If you cannot pay up to a loan shark, they will say, now you work for me and you do what I say, whatever it is, um, till you pay off your debt. So those are ways that people will get involved in it. uh, we are now at number 10, I think, or even more, whatever. Prostitution and brothels. Prostitution is something that I've met some girls who have done it and or actively doing it. Why? It's not only when they are in for financial crisis. It's also because it's easier. They can. It's easy money, if it's done in a safe way. And also some girls will try to pay off their their tuition fees, or they try to get money together for a business that they have. So yeah, especially women can fall into prostitution just for this reason. So imagine during a financial crisis or shit at the fan, it would be rampant, I would say. And another thing I would say is it's not only girls. I know a few guys who have done this out of desperation to for to keep up with the interest that they had to pay for their loans or their debts that they had. So yeah, it's not only girls that can fall into this. And for the thing that I said about brothels, yeah, some girls will go to brothels, but it's also men who will work for brothels. What do I mean by that? For escorts, you can have drivers that you will have to drive a girl to a certain place. You can be a security for the girl in brothels or for escorts. So yeah, that's also a way you can fall into this sort of criminal activity. In certain regions, it's criminal depending on how, why, where. It's I don't really know the specifics of the laws about this, but usually it's a little bit in the shady this side. I think my rooster is going to attack a chicken over there. No, he seems calm. All right, it's yeah. I got new chickens, and one of them has a problem with my rooster. So my rooster and that chicken has some beef. All right, where was I? Ah, yeah, prostitution. Now we're at the gambling business. We all know that is close to a loan shark, I would say, because these kind of people prey on people with low impulse controls or who are drunk and that kind of stuff. And it can be gambling on anything, gambling on sports events, illegal bookies, can be illegal poker tournaments, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can either work with it or you can earn money through it. And yeah, that is also something that happens even in good times. So never mind in shitty defense scenarios. The next thing I would say is fights, illegal fights, and I'm not only talking about uh, underground or illegal boxing matches, that kind of stuff that happens, but it's not that it's rarely that it happens here. But there were mentions in some places here about animal fightings like cockfights and dog fights, that kind of stuff that happens. So yeah, you could get involved in that business if you know certain peoples and yeah, do some work for them and roll in with it. Uh, Another thing I would say is being being a thug. And what do I mean by thug? A thug has many ways. You can be a street thug, you can be a thug, a protection for a protection racket, that kind of stuff. These are more like enforcers of people who are legal, whether they're gangsters, loan sharks. These are the people who will who needs somebody who likes to get their hands dirty for money, is what I'm trying to say. And especially like I said before with the loan shark, they say you have to beat up this guy, or like in a lot of bad scenarios, some political parties can have enforcers that are officially not with them, but they will cause problem with the other side, agitators, that kind of stuff. That could all happen for political or ideological reasons or some other reasons. So yeah, a few these could be people like who are in fighting tournaments or fighting clubs, that kind of stuff, and they need some money and they know somebody who needs some extra muscles or some knuckles. So yeah, that could happen. I think we're at number 12, and I would say hitmen mercenaries. What do I mean by this? These are the hitmen, we all know this. These are the guns for hire. These are people who need money, and they they are getting approached by certain people who know what they are capable of, and for some money they will kill, or in certain criminal families, that is the kind of stuff. And what I mean by mercenary is, yeah, going in a mercenary army. And what is there are legal mercenaries, but the things they do, especially in countries where shitty defend, they do a lot of war crimes and illegal shit. So yeah, that is why I put it together with the hitmen, the hitmen law criminals. Another thing I would say is human trafficking, and yeah, these things happen, and we all think about the people who kidnap little girls, keep them in a basement like Mark the True, that kind of stuff. But human trafficking is not always that direct, and it's yet again like with the drugs and with the weapons. It starts very small, that you can say, oh, can you bring this person to this saloon? And this could be a person who has a debt to a human smuggler, human trafficker, and you have to bring them towards them or something, like a massage salon, like girls, washing saloons, or nightclubs, that kind of stuff, prostitution, brothels. So yeah, these could be girls that are willingly, but they are under, they're being forced, whether it's by force, whether it's by debt, that kind of stuff, or they are illegal persons and they cannot go to the police, and that's the only way that they can find work. So yeah, you can get into the human trafficking, rolling in while it's looking a little bit more innocent or legit. So yeah, that's kind of dangerous, but it's easy to get involved in that, especially during SHTF, when the cops are not that, when the cops have many other things on their mind. Uh, Another thing I would say, and this is perhaps a little bit lower on the list, but I forgot, my stupid brain, waste dumping. And I'm talking about illegal waste dumping. And it is something that happens often under Antwerp or near Brussels. And these are perhaps not only about, oh, I got all this garbage from a building site, I will just drop it next to the highway and without cameras and just drive away, which happens a lot here. Uh, a few blocks, not blocks, a few roads where I live, they just dumped a whole shitload of couches that they didn't want to bring to the how do you call this, the container park, the place where you can go dump big stuff, and they didn't want to pay for it, and that is a way. But there are also people who do it for far more worse stuff. Like I said, under Antwerp and around Brussels, there are a lot of drug labs, and yeah, drug labs have a certain chemical waste, and they drop it somewhere, and that is very dangerous for anyone who lives around. So yeah, they can. Some people will say, "I will take that on. I will take on that job," or a friend asks you to help him moving some stuff, and you roll into that way. So yeah, where illegal waste dumping is big money if you know the right people, and you will get involved with it without you sometimes even knowing if persons lie to you, and if you trust that person. And the last one that I mentioned, and before I mention the most fucked up one, I want to be a little shit. Here are my books called Bloody Crosses and Jason Murders. So if you're interested in detective series, these two books are in the description with a link. So take a look if you want. So right now we're going to talk about the last one, the most fucked up thing, and the reason why I make this video are baby factories. And you would say that sounds like QAnon conspiracy or Jeffrey Epstein kind of stuff. It is something that happens in Uganda for several reasons that are not only about human trafficking. It's also about people who cannot get a child, or they have to be married because of the community. Like in the old style, you have to be married before that age, or if you cannot get any children, you will be ashamed before the family, or for some reason, like how do you say this, for child support kind of government subsidy kind of stuff, which really happens. But I digress. For the reasons, the reason why is in Uganda, as I read and listened to a documentary about baby factories, and these are girls who need money. They got pregnant. They want a career, or they are not ready for it, or they don't have a husband, so they go with these smugglers to a certain place, which are called the baby factories. They will sit out a term, taken care of by these human traffickers, and they will not let the girls go before they give the baby. They let them sign paperwork, all that kind of stuff, to make it more legit. And when they have given birth, they can go. They usually be blindfolded, put on a bus, and then they don't know where this place is, and they never will see the baby again. But this is something that happens systematically in Uganda, and I imagine it's in Europe somewhere also. There are certain places that must do this, so humans are fucked up, and yeah, imagine if you're involved with that. That's in my opinion, this is just fucked up. All right, so yeah, I'm kind of rattling on, but I hope you found this video interesting, take a look in the description. Like I said, for the books, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers.